Hey everybody, welcome back to Tim's Tech Thoughts. We're here again at VMworld 2018. I've got my friend Keith Townsend here, and Keith is a new addition to the VMware team, an SA, and so we're just going to talk a little bit about some of the new announcements, and specifically ESX on ARM. Like, that came out of nowhere.
That did come out of nowhere. I'm a lowly SA now, so I don't get all of the advanced warning of some of these announcements. So that took me completely by surprise.
So I know that. So I don't know how long. Well, I was surprised to hear that they came out. What I found out earlier was that they've actually been working on it for 4 years. So it's certainly not like just we quickly ported it over, let's see what we can do. They've clearly thought about this for a while. And I think with the recent just splurge of people wanting to talk about the edge, intelligent edge, IoT, I mean, is that what we're going to see this used for?
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of tweets about, potentially someone running ESXi on Raspberry Pi. That's not going to happen. You have to be the Cavian 64-bit processor is the target, and it's mainly for OEM type developer deployment. So you're not going to be downloading this and installing it on your Pi. But IoT has been a focus of VMware for a few years. If you remember, for a while back, they made Sanjay Poonen the CIO of IoT at VMware. So it's no surprise it's been in the mix for 4 years.
And it's a very popular thing. So I think I was talking. I heard Pat earlier say that they're seeing a lot of places use like VxRail as kind of the compute power, and then their goal is to have ESXi on ARM to really be like those data workers and gatherers out there to get that over to VxRail.
So if you think about what the real challenge is, we have all of these IoT gateways on ARM. That makes sense. But the same problem that we had in the data center is that years ago is the same problem we have today for these IoT gateways, these data collectors, that the edge is starting to be overrun. We're getting IoT gateway sprawl at the edge. What better way to solve that sprawl than with virtualization, and you're going to virtualize ARM on top of ARM.
Yeah.
So this isn't we're going to bring x86 workloads to ARM, but this is solving a real practical problem for IoT at the edge.
So it's really synonymous with the VM sprawl that we saw. Instead of having 15 servers here at this business, they've got 1 and 15 VMs. So instead of 15 edge devices, now they can consolidate down to 1 or 2.
You can so whether it's a data collector that has sensors on it, then those sensors are virtual talking to a end device, or if this is a edge gateway where devices are talking to that edge and data is collected at that edge to be uploaded and processed later. This is the solution for that. And then you think about this, if you have thousands of sites, hundreds of sites, you don't want to get into managing that many ESXi hosts. So the ability to consume this with our hardware partners as a service versus a on-premises managed solution or in-house managed solution, you can see the appeal.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess what else have you noticed from this conference? I mean, announcement-wise, that has really caught your attention?
Yeah, the biggest one is running. Today is RDS. I interviewed over on my blog or podcast or video vlog. I interviewed Milan Desai, GM of Cloud Services at VMware, and he was not shy about talking about what I describe as x86 for the cloud.
Okay.
Like vSphere becoming the x86 layer to have cloud services inside your data center. RDS services running on vSphere on-prem, I think this is my personal opinion, a precursor to having all types of cloud services, public cloud services, running in your data center and managed by a private cloud or by public cloud providers such as AWS.
Okay, so no longer thinking of like an Azure stack or a vSphere VRA deployment, or it's a different type of private Would this be private cloud, hybrid cloud?
So
It's kind of a reverse hybrid cloud.
It's hybrid cloud. If you think about it, developers love the AWS control plane.
Absolutely.
And that's something that as enterprises, we haven't been able to recreate the AWS control plane. It moves way too fast, much too complex. We're not in the public cloud business, so it's hard for us to recreate that experience. But we legitimately have concerns or use cases where we need those services on-prem. This is that ability. AWS, similar I'll say it, similar in concept to Azure Stack where you're bringing public cloud on-prem. This RDS service on vSphere is bringing public cloud services on top of vSphere. So vSphere is literally a specialized local region of AWS sitting in your data center.
So it's going to be managed the same way as far as the developers are concerned, as they're spinning up databases all in AWS.
Exactly.
And the vSphere admins will just have RDS instances spinning up in their environment.
There's an agent running on the server that communicates to the AWS control plane. And AWS, when a developer requests a RDS local to your data center, AWS deploys it on your data center. And you have a workload that's RDS workload from a vSphere administrator's perspective. And you have all of your features of DRS, vMotion, etc. running. And this is all powered using NSX and NSXT.
Man, it's kind of mind-blowing.
Because
I've heard the announcement, but I never really thought it through like this. So I guess that makes me wonder, what are we going to announce next year? And like, if this was so unexpected to me that we're having RDS back on, I mean, like, with their partnership with AWS, I think we're just going to see
where
more.
does it start? You know, if customers, if there's a pull from customers to want this, you know, where does it start with other AWS services?
Yeah.
We're picking the hardest service to start with, RDS. Databases are hard.
Yeah.
And this is the hardest service, so you know it's not a far stretch to imagine other AWS services running on-prem.
Well, I think it just goes to show too, right, that VMware listens to their customers. Clearly there was a demand for edge computing and to be installed on ARM, and clearly there's a demand for RDS to be able to get more hybrid capability and not just separate that on-premises cloud, public cloud, and it really, I think, brings in that whole, it allows for DevOps, right, to work properly, because no longer you're getting rid of those silos.
Exactly.
Great. All right, so thanks for joining us, and be sure to click subscribe below. I've got links to Keith's blog and Twitter down below, and we'll catch you on the next video.
Thanks, Tim.